Hello, my name's Sophia and I'm going to be explaining the data trends experiment. So the purpose of this experiment was to compare the cooling properties of water within two different types of containers and to see which container was able to maintain the heat of the water over a period of time. This was supposed to be for a simulation for a coffee or a brewing company. So some of the experimental design that we used within this experiment is that we used two different types of containers. The first one was styrofoam and the second one was paper. For both types of cups, we filled each cup up with 300 milliliters of water that was heated up on a hot plate to 80 degrees Celsius. But when we transferred the hot water into each cup, the temperature slightly dropped to 75 degrees Celsius, and we made sure that this was used as the initial temperature for both cups. And so over a course of 8 minutes, at each minute marker, so after 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, etc., the temperature was taken with a thermometer and degrees Celsius and recorded on our data sheet. And so from our data, after doing 2 sets of trials, we collected all of this and we put it in Excel and made various graphs. So what we can conclude from our data is that when the water, over a period of 8 minutes, when the water was poured into the styrofoam cup, it decreased at a slower rate than being put in the paper cup. And so we can use our data and graphs to help explain this. So one example is comparing the first trials of the styrofoam cup versus the paper cup. So within this chart, we can see the graph here as it has a negative slope of negative 0.5833x, and the slope is obviously going down over the course of 8 minutes. And this was for the styrofoam cup. And then when we compare it for trial 1 of the paper cup, we can see the line here as it's decreasing, but it actually has a more negative slope at negative 0.8417x. And so because the slope is more negative in the paper cup trial versus the styrofoam trial, that means that the hot water actually decreased at a faster rate in the paper cup over the 8 minutes versus the styrofoam cup. And so another example of this is comparing the second trial, even again. So as you look at the graph here, it's also decreasing too, and it has a negative slope of negative 0.6017x here. And then when we look at the graph for trial 2 for the paper cup, yes, it also has a negative slope, but it has a greater negative slope than the styrofoam cup did at negative 0.8383x here. And as you can see, it's decreasing more rapidly. And so in conclusion, we can even see visually with the graphs that the water decreased at a faster rate than it did in the styrofoam cup versus the paper cup.